Hey everybody, it's Josh with Talk About Trek, and welcome back to another book talk video. I know, can you believe it? We're actually going to talk about a Star Trek book here on this channel. It's absolutely amazing, but we did finish Distant Shores today. So we did the first part already, and this is, I think, the final 6 stories. And it is a... Well, first off, I've loved the whole thing. It's been a fantastic ride. My first kind of dip into the Star Trek short story world, which is an enormous world. I mean, there is the Strange New Worlds collection. I'm looking at it now. I think has something like 9 or 10 books, each probably with maybe 12 stories. And then you've got the Corps of Engineers, and you've got multiple other of these edited by Marco Palmieri. You have one for TNG, one for TOS, one for Deep Space Nine. So, I mean, we are looking at hundreds and hundreds of more stories to read and talk about, and it's a wonderful thing. And it's been nice to get into the short stories again as well, because it is fun just to be able to sit down and from start to finish, go through a whole story. So, anyway, let's get right into it with The Secret Heart of Zola Luz by Robert T. Jeshenek. This is a 7 of 9 tale, and it is a very deep story. And I'll be honest with you, it kind of got me at the end a little bit. But the basic premise is that she and Janeway kind of crashed on this planet. She has been nursed back to life by this woman named Zola Luz, who is an exile. Basically, she has this sickness, so she has to stay away from everybody else, and is kind of cast off. And there's more of these kind of people as well on the planet. But she nurses Seven back to life, helps her to find Janeway, and basically is horribly she's hurt, she's handicapped, she's very much in pain because of her disability, but despite all of that, she keeps this positive outlook. She wants to help Seven, and even save Seven's life, right? Saves Captain Janeway's life. And I like the what do they say here? Alright, here we go. The theme for Distant Shores was the exploitation of opportunities missed in the TV series. In that vein, The Secret Heart of Zola Luz unearthed the source of at least some of the motivation that enabled 7 of 9 to rise above her horrific past. So it's a good juxtaposition between Seven and Zola Luz, and in the end it's revealed that Seven was the one that gave the greatest gift to her, because she was contemplating killing herself when she came upon Seven, basically, and it was because of Seven that she chose to live, right? So that was really good. There was a very good kind of, I love the turn there at the end. Very well done. And again, that was Robert T. Jeshenek there with the first short story here. Well, not the first, but the first of the second half. Next, Isabeau's Shirt by Kirsten Beyer. Of course, Kirsten Beyer is huge in the Voyager world. Everybody knows that. And this one, I liked what it touched upon and what it explored, which was the Chakotay-Janeway relationship, right? Because, throughout the show, they dabbled there a little bit, will they, won't they, kind of thing, And, I'm glad that they never did, because I think it would have definitely taken something away, I think, from both characters to do that. But and I think they kind of explored it, later on, especially when you watch Prodigy and stuff. But I love how this story plays out, and it makes perfect sense. Well, basically, she explains in the story kind of why they never go there, right? And it starts because of a misunderstanding. It's mostly done from Chakotay's perspective, and just done very well. She obviously knows the characters, and just it really fits in perfectly thematically with with everything else that's going on in the series. And let me see if there's any good blurbs we can read here about this. Here we go. Let me see. In Year of Hell, he tells her he replicated it long before they entered the Krenim space, so I just took that and ran with it, or justified it. You make the call. So I kind of like the call back to the Pocket Watch 2 from Year of Hell, right? So anyway, just a very interesting story, and the title comes from Chakotay had told a story to Janeway at one point, so she found this story that kind of mirrored like the situation and was able to put that in there. So I like that as well. Very, very good short story, and again, just follows up on why exactly did Chakotay and Janeway, not go there, right? Brief Candle by Christopher L. Bennett. Okay, so there was the episode where there were the Borgs that they brought out of the collective, but then they couldn't survive, right? Does it say that in here? Anyway, this is an interesting story too because it follows this one drone who was a Starfleet lieutenant before, Lieutenant Marika Wilkara, and basically she has 1 month left to live, right? So she's trying to experience life, and she's trying to kind of get involved with Harry Kim, and Harry's pushing back because Harry doesn't want to. Basically, Harry doesn't want to, get involved, fall in love, what have you, and then knowing he's going to lose her, right? So the story kind of centers mainly around that, but then ends with a bang, figuratively and literally, I guess, when she is the one who kind of goes and saves the crew at the end, right? This one again is by Christopher L. Bennett, and let me see. They wrote. It's amazing to me, and I love this. But even for all these short stories, look at this, all this extra information that you can learn about this. And I like that this story kind of takes place in and around the Barge of the Dead episode too. I thought that was kind of interesting how they worked that in there. Let me see if there's anything we can read here about this one. No, let's just move on. We'll move on to the next one because I want to talk about the next one even more. I'm glad, I'm glad that I don't read ahead, that I don't really know what's coming up, because I was so pleasantly surprised when I found that there was going to be a doctor-focused story, and I never, it's something I never even knew, I guess, that I even thought that I wanted, right? But it's such an awesome idea. The episode, was it called? Blink of an Eye, I think? Yeah, Blink of an Eye. Fantastic episode. I watched it right after I finished this short story. But basically, the Voyager encounters a weird planet displaced in time, right? And the weird planet displaced in time is basically traveling at a much faster rate, right? So Voyager has been there just for like a little bit, and they're kind of stuck in orbit. But for this planet, Voyager's been there for hundreds and hundreds of years, right? And it's become like part of their mythology. Anyway, this is not going to be an episode about explaining Blink of an Eye or talking about it, which I totally could do a whole episode on that. But basically, they found a way to beam the Doctor down to the planet just so they could get some more information about him, about what was going on down there. And the idea was beam him down, beam him right back. And he'd basically be down there for like a day. They couldn't get him right back. And he was down there for 18 minutes in Voyager's time. Now, 18 minutes in Voyager's time amounted to basically over 1,000 days on the planet, right? So this goes into exploring those 1,000 days. Let me see. And again, it's just such an awesome idea because the Doctor comes back and has 4 or 5 lines, talking about his 3+ years or whatever on the planet. And then this story gets to go into it. Let me see. Yeah, anyway, it's just awesome how it goes completely into depth on him, and he's doing it kind of like log style too, and I love that, reporting on what he's doing, how he's blending in with the culture, and then again, they take those 5 to 6 lines from the episode, and they stretch that into this wonderful little story, and man, I mean, it's something kind of crazy to think about too, that the doctor like experienced all that. Like he had 3 years of a life of these people and basically a son on this planet, right? So very cool. Um, Now I want to read something else because there's a story in Strange New World 7 that the author Terry Osborne is referencing that also has to do with the Doctor and holographic rights. So we're going to keep that in mind. But yes, yeah, this is good. So, Marco Palmieri specifically asked me to look at how fatherhood affects the Doctor. If I'd done my job right, it'll also lay sub it'll also lays a subtle groundwork for the Doctor's efforts toward holographic rights in later seasons. Very cool. So again, just it's a very fun story that expands upon one of my very favorite episodes of Voyager, featuring one of my very favorite characters. Right. So there we go. Or The Tiger by Jeffrey Thorne. Okay, yeah, this is a good one too. Very cool sci-fi. I guess a trope, right? When they come across this derelict mystery ship, they have to try to figure out. B'Elanna gets a little bit obsessed and thinks that there's a way here to find a way home, basically, using this ship's technology. Now, it also features the survivors, or some of the survivors of the Equinox, and again, the very interesting episodes. We won't go into that, but integrating the crew in. B'Elanna was very good friends with one of the members of the Equinox crew who died. So there's a kind of a lot of like the hostility going on there. But again, I love how these short stories do explore like all like the little things that you don't get to see in the show, and I just loved how this kind of just added some more to that relationship, right? To how the Equinox crew kind of dealt with reintegrating, how the Voyager crew dealt with them, and then also they just throw in a very interesting kind of alien mystery ship here as well. So there's an new alien species, the Moyani, a new technology, a whole bunch of character development, and B'Elanna even gets to beat the hell out of somebody, old school Klingon style, barehanded. I really liked it. That's as good of a blurb as any, right? So, again, a fun story, and gives B'Elanna a little bit more development, as they say there. Next, Bottomless by Ilsa J. Bick, and Bottomless also expands upon the Equinox crew, right? This time you get to meet Marla, one of the Equinox crew, and she's trying to. Basically at first she's like the toilet repair person on the ship, right? That's like the job they've assigned to her. But a specific away mission comes up, and she is able to help out because of her expertise in this, right? And then through this, she's able to. Man, there's so much that they say about this too. This is crazy. Look at that. But anyway, it's an interesting little adventure that kind of the captain and Chakotay are trapped underwater, and it's up to basically it comes down to just her after some emergencies and things to save the day, right? And she's able to save the day, sacrifice herself doing so, and again that like the author did a great job of writing the scene where she sacrificed herself. I thought that was very well done. Um, if you had a quarter for every time I said I thought that was very well done in this channel, you would have a bag of quarters. So I pretty much said that I didn't think keeping Marla alive would work. Marco agreed with me, and that was that. And it was a very heroic sacrifice there at the end. And then the final story is just the part 2 of Da Capo al Fine. Capo al Fine. Anyway, I knew how to pronounce it before. But this was, again, a very interesting story. Follows Admiral Janeway, not Captain Janeway. This is the one that came back from the future to help Voyager get back. As she is being assimilated, kind of right at the end of the series, right? And kind of going through her last moments, there's this kind of energy draining creature that's trying to get her to kind of experience like this kind of false afterlife or something, maybe. Or maybe I didn't quite get it right. But anyway, it's very cool, very well done. I said it again. Get another quarter. And I liked it a lot. And what a, like, man. I don't know. Sometimes I don't like the way Voyager ended. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, right? But sometimes I do. And I do like that this gives you more of a look at kind of what happens with Admiral Janeway, too. That's really excellent. And it's a good... I like the way that Marco Palmieri put the whole book together, you know. It flows very well, and having the part 1 and the part 2 of this, I think did very well. It was very good. Very, very, very good. So I had a good time reading it and talking about it with all of you here, of course, as I always do. One of my very favorite things to do. And now I am supremely excited here because it's the 1st of May, so I'm starting a brand new month here. We're rolling over into May, and I have got the very latest Star Trek book to read. Now, it's a big, giant hardcover because that's what you got to get. I'm not going to get the e-book. You know, I'm not going to do that. Got to have the book. And I am freaking excited. First off, this is Dayton Ward's Star Trek Picard, To Defy Fate. And it looks like we're going to have, look, Wesley Crusher featured on the cover here, right? And look, who's this? Who's this coming out of this portal? I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but I'm very excited to get into this one. I'm not going to read the back. I'm not going to learn anything about it. I just want to go in blind, and I'm really hoping that there's a lot going on this weekend, but I want to give this book solid time, solid reading time, and really plow through it, you know? Because I think it would be fun to come back and talk about the very newest Star Trek book, you know, like in a decent amount of time, you know, after it's come out. So that's where we're going now, and that's going to be fun. And you know what? We might be back tomorrow with some surprises. We'll see. We'll see how the day goes. We have a fun day planned. Anyway, thanks for hanging out and listening. As always, my friends, live long and prosper. We'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good night.